Hello, world. No, that's not Cole Hocker shushing Centrowitz. It's me, Rojo, shushing the doubters. I'm on an all-time high. We hope, fans, that the wait was worth it for you, because it was for us. What a night of track and field. But more importantly, folks, I pulled out of my hat Jonathan Galt. You haven't done it. We started the show 5 minutes late because I had to update the Running Warehouse prediction contest. I have just done it. And because what I have said all along, that Nagoose would make the team, and yesterday I was trying to back off somehow I picked Hocker by mistake, but I had a perfect score. Hocker, Centrowitz, Nagoose, and I vaulted over Jonathan Galt into 38th place out of over 15, almost 1,600 people. Rojo for the win.
All right, Rojo, shut up. Okay, it's 1:08 a.m. on the East Coast. People want to hear us talk about one of the most freaking amazing US 1500s I've ever seen. I mean, look, we had a Sidney McLaughlin world record. We'll get to that in a little bit. I think Mo just ran 156, but I'm sorry, that 1500, we've been hyping it up pretty much ever since Centro sat and kicked on Cole Hocker at the Sound Right, at the track meet last December. We've been saying, okay, I want to see this race. It freaking delivered. I mean, Cole Hocker, my God. Those last 150 meters, Robert. Have you ever, when was the last time you saw acceleration like that? Centro, he had the gap. He looked to have this race won. I was like, Hocker's not in great position. And then he emerges from nowhere. Suddenly he's right on Centro's shoulder. They're going shoulder to shoulder down the home straight. And then Hocker pulls ahead. I mean, that couldn't have been any more awesome. I guess Hocker getting the standard and officially being on the team, but he's going to go now, right?
Oh yeah, with that, he'll probably vault up to the 20s in the world ranking. There's no doubt that he's on the Olympic team. So you want to go there right away, go to the 1500. I guess that is the race that we've been waiting for. I mean, there's so much to talk about. But okay, so let's do the 1500. I mean, it was pretty sick in the sense of
all right, Robert, I don't know what you're talking about.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the graphic up on the screen, John.
Okay,
the fans need to see. I spent a lot of time making that damn graphic. We had the big four, and it came down to the big four-man for 3 spots. Sorry for Craig Engels. So, John, the race was amazing. I would love to go back and watch it on replay 5 or 6 different times. But I'm watching the race, and I'm trying to watch all 4 guys, etc., and see what's going on. First of all, Centrowitz has no excuse for losing that race. He had tactically, he was brilliant. He was up front. Much less of a problem than anyone else in the race. But really, no one has an excuse in this race. I was watching Hocker intently, and he was boxed in. He was trying to get out. He was away in the back, and he was smart, though. He didn't, even though he was in a terrible position for like 3 laps, he eventually said, screw it, I'm not going to go out wide. I'm just going to go up on the inside. People will eventually go wide. And he kind of snuck his way through the inside. And he didn't get really clear to the last 100, but he had so much left. But he didn't panic. Didn't think I have to go out to lane 3. He was boxed for most of the race. And at one point he tried to come out. He saved ground by staying on the rail. He was very, very patient. I mean, I'm going to have to make a video about this race.
Robert, the thing I noticed was with about 500 to go, I was like, my God, he's in terrible position, this being Hocker. And he made a big acceleration, a big push just before the bell to move up a little bit. And then that's also when Centro got to the lead. And I'm like, okay, Centro's got the advantage here because he's going to be running the shortest distance the whole way through. And Centro ran a great race. I don't think we're not going to criticize him. Here's what happened. Cole Hocker is just better than everyone else right now. He's 20 years old. He just turned 20. It's kind of hard to believe. But, he wasn't in a great spot with 150 to go, and he just ran his way out of trouble because he's better than everyone else. That's pretty much it, pure and simple.
I would love to know what the last 800 was. Does anybody in the comments, someone do the math? It's 135 plus a 14, 149, probably another 149 in a 335 race.
Well, Hocker's lost 200. Because I think it was 330. Sorry, I think there were 310 at 200, and that was Centro leading. Hocker was a little bit back of that, and he didn't really turn on the jets until 150 to go. I got to think Hocker might have closed in 24 points for the last 200.
So it was amazing. And to be truthful, when I'm watching this thing, God, first of all, the traffic and Let's Run, it crashed. like this is like the olden days. Weldon said he's never seen traffic like this. By the way, folks, Robert Johnson here, if you're just joining us, Jonathan Galt, Weldon Johnson, because of the delay, wasn't there in person, was at the Portland airport, will not be on the show. Doesn't look like, but I wasn't watching the battle up front, John, because my buddy, who's Craig Ingles' high school coach, I was watching the battle for third the whole time. Nagoose ran a lot of extra ground. Craig Ingles has no excuses either. They were there. Nagoose was just a little bit better. I mean, those guys, you know, Nagoose closed in 39.48. Ingles closed in 39.89. And I bet Nagoose did most of that on the outside, whereas Ingles was on the inside. So I said a long damn time ago that year Nagoose would make that team, and he did. I kind of started to doubt myself.
Centro's talking. Can you hear him?
Okay, why don't you listen to that, John, while I'll just keep talking about the race. So Centros is talking to the fans right now at Hayward Field. John is there, wants to hear what he says. But I said a long damn time ago that Nagoose would make the team. I started to doubt myself because a lot of this thing in the college, you saw it in the 5,000 this morning, there's a gap between the college kids. I mean, Cooper Tier is damn it 350 mile. He's just not at the level as a Woody Kincaid and Paul Chalimo yet. But hats off to Nagoose. He ran a good race. And what I was thinking about in terms of Nagoose versus Ingles is, Ingles is a great runner, but he never won an NCAA title. Like he's probably he was fourth and fifth 5 years ago. He's going to be fourth again. It's a real shame that he may never make an Olympic team. But hats off to Jared Nagoose. The two college kids really brought it in this 1500. Moving forward, John, it's certainly both of these guys up front. Nagoose is not going to medal. Let's be honest. I mean, I guess he could get lucky maybe, but Hocker and Centrowitz, in my mind, are major medal contenders. And if Timothy Chariot's not in that thing, I'm not ruling out a double gold for Centrowitz. And also Hocker, I mean, he just beat Centrowitz. I know it's going to be a long season. It's another, month from now, probably 5 weeks till the Olympic final. But Cole Hocker has never shown any sign of slowing down all season long. And Andrew Wheating ran his best race of his life at the end of a long college season. So whatever Ben Thomas is giving that boy, keep it up. The problem now is they need to pay Cooper Tier or someone to keep training with him because he's had people to train with. It was always weird in college with me, when, the kids that keep going in the season, they don't have any training partners. Or could he go train with Centrowitz or something? That would be interesting because who's he going to train with? No one else in Oregon is really going to be running. Maybe Cooper Tier will keep it going just so he can have someone to train with.
All right, Robert. So just to clarify, Centro, he took the mic and he said, just to clear the air, there was no trash talk in the semifinal on Friday. I think things are all good between them. I think he just had that wry smile when he got past the finish line. And I just want to say I came up with this headline for this race maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. If we had an Oregon 1-2 and Nagoose in third, duck, duck, goose. That has to be the headline for our 1500 article, Robert, because you got 2 Oregon Ducks and the Oregon Nagoose in third. So unless we have anything else talking about 1500, I think we should move on because, we were a little bit on a deadline here. But that was freaking awesome, and I agree with you completely. I think both men, the top 2 tonight, are medal contenders in Tokyo.
Yeah. So, okay. I could keep talking about this 1500 online. I guess originally I said this was going to be a 20-minute show because we got to go to the interviews, but I could type in the interviews, the questions I want to hear, and go back, to look to him. Some people are saying Centrowitz is 32. He's not getting a medal. I don't agree with that comment by Patrick Glanville. Why? I mean, Nick Willis got a medal. How old was he last time?
All right. First of all, Centro is 31, not 32. Second of all, have you seen how he's been racing this year? He's been running really well. So just because he got beat by one of the best, Cole Hocker, I would say right now, 1500, I'd call him one of the best in the world right now. Just because he got beat by Cole Hocker doesn't mean that he's not good. Doesn't mean that he can't medal at the Olympics. So, it's
one
going
thing
to be tough,
here,
but
a visitor wants to know, are Hocker's chances of making the Olympics 100% without the standard? Yes, they are. I mean, I done the math yesterday. If he ran 340 and got third, he was going to move up to two or three spots ahead of anyone coming in this last weekend to do it. And, McCloughy may not even run the Olympics, so he's probably going to be 44. They take 45. Now he's going to get 100 bonus points. You get 80 for third plus the 335. I mean, he's got 335. So his score, I don't have it in front of me, but there's no doubt. I mean, if you read our recap in the morning, you will see that he's 100% on the Olympic team. There's zero doubt on that. All right, we do have Weldon Johnson at the Portland airport. Weldon, was the bar in Portland I assume that you weren't the only one that had to leave the trials, miss the action, and watch it in a bar. What was the scene like there?
It was packed with, well, not packed, but everyone there was a person had tickets to the trials. They're very excited.
Rob, I don't think this is going to work. He sounds like he's talking through a potato right now.
He's wearing a mask, and that's what you get when you go with non-Verizon cell phone. We should have gotten a Verizon. Weldon, we can't really hear you. We're going to kick you off the show.
Let me get on Wi-Fi. I'll be back. Hold on. I'll get on the Portland Airport Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So
okay,
there
Robert,
was a good comment in the chat. I mean, we have hundreds of people right now. It's hard to keep up with all the chat, but Hocker won this race, even though his tactics weren't great, but he didn't panic. He ran on the inside. Amazing. Just amazing. We've been waiting for that race, whatever. Let's go to another race, the other distance final of the night section, the mid-distance final, the women's 800. And, it was just the Athing Mo show. What did I say on this very podcast last night? I said Athing Mo 156, and she almost ran 155. And it was really spectacular in the sense of, okay, Weldon is here on Wi-Fi. Weldon, before you got on the plane,
have you guys talked about Hocker more? I mean, I don't know how long the show's been going, but I've never seen traffic like this on the site. Boston Marathon, this sort of shit. It's 1 a.m. The site just fucking crashed. Oops, I'm just getting in trouble here at the airport, yelling F-bombs. But I mean, come on, I got to hear a little bit about it before I get on this plane.
Yeah, I mean, we talked. You saw the race, right? Well, then.
Yeah, the guy closed like a freight train.
When have you seen a 150 like that? The last 150 in a 1500 like that? I mean, it was insane.
Yeah, no, and then the shirts. I hope the shirts are back, Robert. The printer, you got to double down. People want these shirts. They're on NBC now. They're on NBC. I think the tank top is the look. The guy had the tank top on NBC. You got to make a tank top.
So his friends were wearing it. Carter Crispin was wearing the shirt. He said he was going to wear them. We got to update the Your Move shirt because we had his 350.55 mile. We should probably put the winning time from the trials on it and say my move, or what should we say, John? If you got an idea for the new Cole Hocker themed shirt, please let us know because we got to do something with that.
Tweet them out and they got to be published tomorrow, printed tomorrow.
Now, I think we got to give Cole credit here for just not only being ridiculously good at running, but when is this guy ever in a boring race? It's always exciting with him. NCAA indoors, he goes out, meet record in the mile, runs down Cupertier in the 3K. NCAA outdoors, him and Goose, just epic final 800. Tonight against Centro, again, runs him down. They're shoulder to shoulder in the home straight. This guy, I mean, Kyle Berber had a tweet, which I thought was funny. He's like, if I know anything about running, it's that some shoe company should pay Cole Hocker $100 million right now. And okay, I mean, $100 million is not going to get that. But, first of all, he needs to go pro, obviously. He's the best in the country. He might be a medalist in Tokyo. And two, I think, Robert, we talked about it earlier. What's his training setup going to be moving forward? Maybe him and Cupertier stay in town with Ben Thomas, start their own group for a couple of years. That might work out. I don't know. I'm sure everyone in America is going to want a piece of Cole Hocker now.
Okay, and
how do you guys think? I mean, he's never run sub 335. How does the guy do in a 332 race? I mean, he may not be anything in that type of race.
We'll find out because, if the Olympic final is super fast, that is the one question. He's lethal in a sit and kick race, but it could be faster. It actually benefits him if Timothy Cherry's not in there because we know how the race is going to go if Timothy Cherry's in it. It's a pure time trial. But, one thing I did say, and I'll admit that I was wrong, I had a coach calling me about NCAA indoors and says he absolutely has to go pro. His value will never be higher than this. And Jonathan Galt did say, well, what if he wins the trials? So Hawker's won the trials. Maybe his value's up. It certainly didn't go down. The question is, and on next Wednesday's regular podcast, I will reveal the money that I heard to the VIP subscribers about how much did Hobbs Kessler get, because Hobbs Kessler is getting Centrowitz type money, I've heard, for 10 years, which is absolutely insane. So, it's crazy because they're always betting on your potential. And it seems to me like Adidas' sponsorship model, just they throw a bunch of eggs against the wall and they sign every high schooler. I would assume that Nike knows that like one thing that's interesting here is Nike knows that why would he want to leave Ben Thomas? Why would he want to leave anyone else? They can probably not. He wants to go Nike. They could lowball him a little bit because of that. So it'll be interesting. I mean, he's going to be very well compensated, no doubt about that. But should we move on to the women's 800?
Yeah, let's talk a thing, Mo. I mean, 156.07, number 2 American all time. And I mean, when I saw Chanel Price take this race out in the first lap and ran 57.44, I was like, okay, we're going to see something pretty fast because we got some really good women in this field. We got a thing Mo in great shape. She's been running amazing. And Mo basically took it, around the first turn of the bell lap. And from there, she controlled through 600. And then that last 150 just opened up on everyone. I mean, there was the gap, the distance between a thing Mo and the two women who went 2-3 in the world 2 years ago, Raven Rogers and RJ Wilson. I mean, Raven Rogers ran a personal best in this race and was not even close to a thing Mo. And then RJ Wilson coming from behind to get the third spot. We're not used to seeing her do that, but credit to her. I thought she was done with about 150 to go. I'm like, RJ's moving backwards. She showed the heart of a champion. We know she's not at 100%, and she still made it on that team. To beat out Michaela Meyer, the NCAA champion who ran another huge PR of 158.55. I mean, we had Allie Wilson runs 159.02 and gets 6th in this race. The depth was incredible, but I think Mo, that's the takeaway. I mean, she has arrived. This event could be hers for the next decade.
Right, with no Semenya, intersex women. Like, who's going to touch her? Look at the splits here, 27.5. So they get out, and then she basically went 30 flat, 30 flat. So she went 29.99, 30.05, and then she accelerates to 28.49 and just destroys the field 156.07. Whereas you look at Rogers, she closed in 29.67. Everybody else was slowing down. They weren't able to pick it up at all. Everyone else had their last 200 was the slowest 200, which is what you normally see in 800. But I think Mo was able to pick it up to a 28.49 for the last 200. But again, in this race, I was actually watching AJ Wilson because I knew when Mo started moving up, I'm like, okay, she's on the team. And I was really fascinated by AJ Wilson when she said she had some hiccups in her training. And I was so impressed by her. I started a thread by it. Tactical brilliance. It's like, Wilson's in trouble. This is a woman who likes her front run. She knows her body, and she just ran a tactically brilliant race to get on that team. She was 7th with 100 meters to go, and she made the team. And what a race, though. Look at this. PB, PB, SB, PB, PB, PB. So everyone except for AJ Wilson in this race ran a personal best in the top 6, which is absolutely incredible. So hats off to them. If AJ, in 5 weeks, she could get up there and improve her fitness, this could be in another event. USA is going to have a kick-ass track and field meet. We could sweep the medals in this event. Although there's some Ethiopian women. I mean, there's a 26-year-old Ethiopian who never run faster than 202, and she runs 156. So we can't sleep on her. We don't know where this woman's come from, etc. One thing, Weldon, I know you're a Yale grad. My father's a Yale grad. But I thought Kate Grace ran a tactically horrific race in this one. She was pressing way too much. She ran the entire race basically out in lane 2 and was just like really insecure, I thought, and like thought that she needed to be up there, at 600 meters. AJ Wilson let these women just do their thing, and thought, if I have it in the last 100, I will get on this team, and she did. And Kate Grace was just, admittedly, you had to run 158.39, which I think is probably faster than Grace's PR. John, do you know what it is?
Well, her PR is 158, I think, 8. Robert, by the way, your mic is very, we're getting a lot of feedback there. I don't know if there's anything you could address with that. But, I mean, I don't know. Kate Grace, I mean, did she run that badly, Robert? Her time, I mean, 159.17, it's not that far off her personal best, right? And she's 32 years old. Her personal best is 158.28. So, okay, it's about a second off. But, I don't know. This was just a really hard team to make. We said this is going to be one of the hardest teams to make in any event in the United States. And Raven Rogers, she looks like she's right on schedule. I mean, look, she might not be able to make up that gap to Mo because, again, there was a huge divide in class between the two of them. But, I mean, she showed that kick again over the last 200, and I think she's only going to get better between now and Tokyo.
Yeah. One thing, folks, we didn't see, I kept waiting for the fall. We did see a fall in the women's 800, but I kept thinking, okay, when a big name goes down, USATF does need to remember they can rerun this race. Nia Akins, she's been running great. It's a shame that she didn't get to run this final because, well, she did run, but she was, fell and ran 2:12 because, she would have run a huge PR. There's just no doubt in my mind. But how about Michaela Meyer of UVA? She, 1:58.55 for fourth. Fantastic.
All right, do we move on to the sprint action? Because we had a 17-year-old making the Olympic team, and we had Noah Lyles reassert his dominance, and we had a world record, which I called, I believe, in the 400 hurdles.
Well, no, we have to go to the men's 5,000 meters first, John. Men's 5,000 meters. Please remember that.
Totally forgot that happened today. Yeah.
This is a distance-focused site. So men's 5,000 this morning, kind of controversial in the sense of Paul Chelimo, who was disqualified one time from the Zurich Diamond League and cost himself $20,000, ends up finishing this race in lane 4 with Woody Kincaid and Grant Fisher out in lane 5. Some people wanted him disqualified, but I thought, no. What he did was a Bush League, yes. But we're not... In every race I ever watched, people finished in lane 2. How is this any different? I know it's out to lane 4, but then if we're going to start DQing people when you don't actually make contact, then you should DQ every race runner that doesn't finish in lane 1. We don't have it. The right call. It did not affect the race, the impact of the race. So they did the right thing here of not disqualifying. It would have been a real shame if he was disqualified. He was much better than Woody Kincaid and Grant Fisher in this race. And
what do you mean? Woody Kincaid would have closed in 51 if he had ran the shortest line over the last 400, Robert. I don't think you can say he was much better.
Kincaid, if he had run a better race, perhaps could have challenged him, but Fisher could not have. And as I said on the message board, we know Paul Chelimo is world-class runner. We don't know that about Grant Fisher and Woody Kincaid. They are national class runners. I hope that they make the leap to world class. I could also make a video about Woody Kincaid. He's like, I was trying to get out with 3 laps to go. I realized I was boxed in. Cooper Cheer never let me out. But he ran a dumb race. Like if he had just done what Cole Hocker done, which is instead of kept trying to go back and go out wide, if he just done what Hocker done and just moved up on the inside, he could have gotten through people that way. Now at the end, he did say, which was interesting on the last lap, he said, I could have cut in, but I was afraid I'd clip Fisher, and I didn't want to clip my own teammate. But one thing, John, as a Dartmouth alumni, I would say is, this race was a good result for Ben True because I think these guys have no shot of a medal at all, none whatsoever in the 10,000. It's going to be hot as hell, and those Ugandans are going to push that pace so fast that they can't stay with it. But in the 5,000, if it's tactical, maybe there's some chance they could medal. So, is there any chance they skip out on the 10,000 and run just the 5,000, and that would put Ben True on the Olympic team?
I don't think so. I think they both said they want a double, and the double's feasible to do. I do agree with you that the 5K is the really only chance of the medal, but they made both Olympic teams. They earned it, and I feel bad for Ben, but I don't think they're going to be giving up their spots. So, yeah, and you got to give credit to Cooper Tier as well, 4th place at the end of a long collegiate season. He was incredible. He's kind of looking over, bemused at the other guys finishing in lane 4. But one thing I thought, I agree with you, Robert. What Chelimo did was Bush League, but I also don't think it's worthy of a DQ. He never, did he force them to run extra distance? Yes. And under USATF Rule 163.3, it says you're supposed to run a direct line. But again, Ezekiel Kemboy, all right, he didn't run a direct line in the Olympic finals, in 2012, but are we going to DQ him for that? I don't think so. So, look, I don't think it was. I think it was Bush League, but I think it's legal, or it should be legal, and I don't think it should be DQ'd.
Racing, he's a championship performer. He delivered on the biggest stage. I'm sick of these people saying he should be disqualified. And folks, there's a lot of people here. Everyone here's got Olympic trials hats on. I was just online in the market, it's called, with Kim Ratcliffe, mother of Thomas Ratcliffe. She reports Thomas is doing okay after dropping out of the 5,000 meters. The newest signee of the Bowerman Track Club, son of agent Tom Ratcliffe. But anyway, yeah, John, I don't know. It's not against the rules in the World Athletics to be outside. I'm so glad it wasn't a DQ. I don't want someone being My belief is I want people rewarded who are the best. He didn't impede anyone. They had a clear shot to the line. So good for him. Great victory.
I agree. I didn't want a DQ, and I thought it would have been totally Bush League if he was DQ'd. That being said, this guy's got to he's got to watch himself, because remember, he was almost disqualified in the Rio Olympics. He was briefly disqualified, and they, I think, put him back in. So, but he was, really, I thought it was impressive. And when that race happened, John, I texted my buddy who was Craig Engels' high school coach. I said, this is a good sign for you. It's showing you that there's a gap between the collegians and the professionals. But don't tell that to Cole Hocker, because I did say the one negative is Hocker is better than Tier, and you saw why in that 1500. So really incredible. People want to know why Weldon. Some people who are watching the live video show think that you're virtue signaling. He's at an airport, folks. You have to wear a mask. So it's, it's the way
Airport, I'm done. Oregon was way too restrictive with COVID. I'm double vaccinated, people. Let's get with the times. If you're double vaccinated, you go on a store, you don't need to wear a mask. Let's get with the times, Portland.
Okay, YouTube listener Andy Baker has a great comment. He says that Woody Kincaid missed out on 2 years of international pro racing. His first international race will be the Olympics, which is pretty interesting. I could not believe that stat. Woody Kincaid has been with the Bowerman Track Club since 2016 and has never run outside of the United States of America. I don't give a shit.
I'm going to join a video interview here. I just want to let you know I'm checking out. I'll let you guys handle it for the next 10 minutes or so. I'll come back when I can.
Robert, am I allowed to make fun of John? I mean, these things are taped, man. Just type in your question, let it go.
I know. I should text Jonathan. People want to hear from Jonathan. Like, they don't need to hear us type in a question. I want to. Let's see who's in the media desk room right now. I could put them on live. I think Noah Lyles. Oh, Cole Hocker's live. Centrowitz. Do you want me to pump in one of these people right now, folks? Who do you want to hear from? Should we hear from Hocker or Centrowitz? Let's hear it in the chat.
Yeah, just put them in live.
I'll go in live with Cole Hocker. See what's going on here.
See if they're there. Robert, did John talk at all about the crowd? How many people were there? It looked pretty good on TV, actually, from what I could tell.
Okay, here he is. Cole.
Robert, did John say anything about the crowd?
No, hold on. They're asking about the standard.
I'll tell you guys about the standard while Robert's trying to get Hocker here live.
What your knowledge by the way of the world rankings.
Right. So yeah, what I was told is if I place top 3 at trials and let alone win it, then that would be enough to secure my world ranking within the top 45, which I think is the number that is equivalent to that standard.
And then from David Woods at IndyStar, Cathedral coach Noel might not have predicted your 2021 season, but it seems like he intentionally inhibited your mileage so you could do things like this.
Right, yeah. 100%. And at the time,
Robert, forget these boring questions. Type him a question about the shoe
I
sign.
agree with that. And just in high school, you want to run fast, but I don't think I'd be where I am today, or at least I think it's less likely.
Okay, folks, enough Cole Hocker talk. I think the commentators are getting bored. I agree. Jonathan Gold can ask him. Central would be more interesting, I think. But for me, I mean, that the randoms are asking questions when they don't even know about the world standard. He's got the standard. These idiots don't know what they're talking about. So, anyways, back to the men's 5,000. Now we've lost Weldon, it looks like. So it's just me. Back to the men's 5,000 in the sense of, I thought that Chalima looked really good. And I thought John made an interesting point. He doesn't really run well in Eugene because of the allergies, but he did much better today because it's been so hot. Allergies haven't been as much of an issue. I was thinking for Worlds next year, it's later in the summer as well. So hopefully, he can be a factor, at the World Championships in 2022. So we've talked men's 5,000, we've talked women's 8, we've talked men's 1,500. What have we not talked about? We haven't talked about the women's 400 hurdles world record. Everyone saw this coming. I was shocked that less than 50% of people there's Weldon's, now he's back. Less than 50% of people were picking Delilah Muhammad to set the world record. I thought she would, and she did do it. I was really gutted for Shamir Little because she came in number 2 in the world. She ran a pretty good time, 53 something. Only like 4 women in the world have done it. But Anna Cockrell of USC ran a great race. I don't know what Little was thinking. Like, I mean, it's hard to take a safety in the 400 hurdles, but she was like right with Muhammad, and she did not take a safety. She was right with Muhammad and McLaughlin, like on the far turn, on the second turn here, and then she totally butchered hurdle number 8, lost her momentum, and just misses out on the team. I mean, that's where it's like almost not fair because the U.S. could literally go 1 through 4 in that event in the Olympics if they were allowed to have 4 in. So tough for her, but congrats to Cockrell. She was really thrilled.
A little better be on the 4x400 team. I mean, I think she is. I think one other time, sort of, she came in great at 400 hurdles and didn't make the team. I don't know if it was the Worlds or Olympics, but she's one of the best. I mean, she's number 2. She was before USA started, how much she is now in the 400 flat. So she needs to be on a relay team for sure. Unfortunate, but the race was incredible. I mean, Delilah Muhammad, who hasn't been running that great, sort of rounding into form, but I think, hadn't been under 54 seconds. She's ahead of Sydney coming off hurdle 8. I mean, it was nuts. And I think that's Sydney sort of, I think that's why Sydney was really shocked to break the world record, because she probably thought, if I'm down that late in the race, I'm not on world record pace. But she totally was.
So I'm typing in a question to Audrey Wilson to try to find out what wrong with her before the Olympics, and then I'll do that. I don't know why Jonathan Gold needs to talk to these people, just you can type in the questions. But yeah, I mean, she might have been surprised to be down, but Muhammad goes out so fast that being down at that point is not a bad thing. But, amazing. 51.90, first woman under 52 seconds. Congrats to her. But beat it by a quarter second. So chatters, YouTubers, Periscope, Twitter, however you're listening, Facebook, let us know what you want us to talk about. I originally said this is going to be a 20-minute show. It looks like we've already been going on for over 30 minutes and don't want to go too much longer because it's already 1:40 and we've got to write at least 2 recaps tonight on the East Coast. But yeah, I don't know. Can Muhammad make up the ground with 5 more weeks? I think she could get close enough that if Sydney makes a mistake, that she could win the gold medal. So, not impossible there, but really, what a night. I mean, we've waited 5 years. We had to wait an extra year for the trials, and then we had an extra year. So it was 5 years, and then we had to wait an extra 5 hours, and it was well worth it because everything delivered. Great men's 200. Noah Lyles. He's been saying everything's fine all season long. It didn't look fine until when it mattered most, and he was fantastic. And then Cole Hocker versus Centrowitz. We wanted to see that. We've wanted to see that really since December. The 5,000, and then the 350 miles, and then the Your move, and Hocker comes from behind to nip him at the line, and also had time. Who's the bigger medal threat? Hocker or Centro? That's a good question. I mean, that's a really good question. Hocker beat him right now, but are we going to assume that Centrowitz is just getting into peak form? I would say, wow, almost equal.
I mean,
Is it?
I still kind of want to go with Centrowitz. I think he's better in a faster race. I don't know. Hocker's untested in a faster race, but that close was really good. I mean, even in the 5,000 meters, Chalimo controlled the race, won the race somewhat comfortably, but Woody Kincaid's close was actually faster. So it's scary. The potential is there, but in a faster race, are these guys just going to let it come down to final 400? I think Central will handle it better tactically. And at the Olympics, less mistakes can be made. I mean, Central was talking such a big game before this one. It sounds like he's very confident about his fitness. I wonder, just how he responds today. Does he realize like, holy F, like I'm just not the best anymore, or does he like, hey, I can put in another 3 weeks of training and be even better to go? And got to be thinking that, hey, Hocker, how long can he keep extending the season? But if the big question still for the Olympics is Timothy Chariot on the Kenyan team, because without him, I think the Olympics is very different. I'm not sure Jakob Ingebrigtsen will try to make it a 3:30 race, and that'll really open it up for Hocker and others.
It's a really interesting thing because if Chariot's not there, I mean, people say, oh, Ingebrigtsen's biggest rival's gone, but also if he is there, we know it's a matter of fitness. Chariot's fitness may not be as great as it was in years past, and then Ingebrigtsen can just try to be fitter and faster in a time trial and win it. If he's not there, if he wants to make it fast, Ingebrigtsen's going to have to make it fast. And if it's a slow kick race, this opens it up to a lot of people with big wheels. You know, Josh Kerr's got some amazing wheels. Sintowitz has got some amazing wheels. Hocker, etc. So, you know, I think this loss in some ways could be good for Sintowitz. Keeps him grounded, keeps him motivated. And then, you know, does Hocker mentally take a step back here and think, oh my God, I just won the Olympic trials, or does he stay focused and whatever? So it's just going to be fascinating. But I think we have really, you know, two big medal throw hopes there. But well, yeah, I agree with this comment from Luis in the sense of if it turns into a time trial, I don't think Hocker or Sintowitz is medaling most likely because, you know, in 2019 it basically was a time trial. Sintowitz ran 3:32 and didn't get close to, you know, to the medal. So it should be interesting on that front. Folks, the people that want Weldon to take off the mask, he's at the airport. It's a Portland city ordinance that you wear your mask at the airport. I don't understand why this has to be political. How is it bothering you if he's wearing a damn mask or not? So he's following the local rules. It's not bothering you. Yes, he's already complained about it if you just joined the show. He's been vaccinated twice. It's kind of crazy that they make him wear the mask, but that's the rule.
Robert, it's not a local rule. I guess you haven't traveled since COVID started. It's a federal rule. Thank you, Joe Biden.
So, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, if Timothy Chariot rocks the Monaco meet, I think they'll put him on the team. So, Hocker has the best kick in the world. I think I should write a piece this week comparing his kick like to what Josh Kerr's kick was at the British trials and whatnot. It is pretty damn sick. That's for sure. I mean,
Robert, what was the final lap today? I haven't been able to split.
Well, I haven't. They only had the final 300, which was 38.64. That came off. The previous lap was a 56.8. So let's just call that a 14. So it's going to be a 52. Probably like
Josh Kerr was in 50 point. I mean,
but that wasn't a 3:35 race. Wasn't that a 3:40 race?
Good point.
So, I absolutely think Josh Kerr has the wheels to contend for Olympic, you know, gold with these guys. So it's going to be a really amazing Olympics. And what you saw in this race is when there's so many people, think about it. Here we had like really two guys of equal ability. In the Olympics, you could have 3, 4, 5, which makes it even harder and crazier because you really cannot afford to panic. Hocker, go back and watch it. He was brilliant. He kept trying to go wide. He couldn't do it. He just said, okay, I'm going to stay in the rail. And it was brilliant in that front. So amazing stuff. Amazing trials. On the Wednesday podcast, the normal podcast, we'll do it. But if you're enjoying the show, folks, and you aren't a Let'sRun.com subscriber, shame on you because if you go to Let'sRun.com/subscribe, join the supporters club, you don't have to be up at 2 a.m. to listen to this instant reaction show. You get it on your podcast feed when you wake up, driving to work. It's fantastic. Support independent journalism. Go to Let'sRun.com/subscribe.
I'm going to talk to 2 people this weekend, huge Let's Run fans. Neither was a supporters club member, and they said, you need to block me out. I'll take what I can get for free. So, I'm actually not looking good here.
Yeah, that's true. Because we have a lot of people buying shirts.
They also want the Your Move shirts.
So if you got an idea for the Your Move shirt, please email us, letsrun@letsrun.com. Last night we had Dina Castor on the show. It was amazing. Because I have been deleting the shows. If you're not listening to them live, they are immediately deleted once we finish. So The free riders don't get to listen after the fact. And Ollie Hoare also has a sick kick. Wow, Rose Runner, your move, Jacob. You guys think Jacob's even like paying attention to these trials? So, and this is one of the reasons why an Indiana guy is saying this. This is why I think, it's crazy. This has actually worked out perfectly for everybody. Kessler got paid his money last week, millions of dollars, and now he's not even in the trials finals. He maximized things perfectly because if they're going to pay him Centrowitz type money for not even making the U.S. final, you got to take it. And now Hocker's money should be through the roof because I guess, but who else is going to pay him that type of money besides Nike? I guess Adidas might, but who's going to coach him?
I mean, with the Nike reductions, I guess it probably depends on what Central does at the Olympics. He is a reigning Olympic champion. But I'd love to know how much not winning nationals or finishing second's worth to him.
So, all right, folks, we've got recaps to run. Unless Jonathan Gault's coming back on the show, I think I'm going to have to sign off. I'm sure he's getting, you'd think with like 20 journalists asking these runners that they would at least ask one or two decent questions, but sometimes we do have to get on there to ask good questions.
Robert, text him, see if he can get back on because he might have learned something. So just give him 1 second chance. I'll send him a text right now.
So we did talk about the 200 in the sense. One thing I haven't even had time to because we went on the show right after the meet ended was I didn't even get to see what Knighton's time was. So, folks, we had it. This is actually interesting. The men's 200. Wow, look at this. Second, third, and fourth all ran personal best. Absolutely amazing. I did not realize that Knighton actually. I was thinking it caught up to him. We were wondering if he went hard, 2 days in a row. 3 days in a row. He ran hard in every round. Could he get better? He did get better. He just didn't get better enough. So Knighton runs a PR 1984. Fred Curley, I didn't even notice him, runs 1990. And by the way, Terrence Laird has gone pro with Adidas 20.15. I think he's a little, you wonder when the college are going to run out of gas. Laird did run out of gas in these trials. John, welcome back to the show. Who were you talking to? What did you learn? We briefly had I forgot. Well, who did we even have? We had Hocker on, but he was answering the questions in a very boring manner.
All right. So, Robert, I was in the Centro interview because, look, I've interviewed both of these guys. Hocker doesn't give great. He's not a great interview. He's a great runner, but he's 20. This is his first year really getting big time attention. Centro can talk, and I was glad I was in that interview and asking some of the questions because one, he basically said, look, there's no bad blood between him and Hocker. He was just sort of smart. Their semifinal, it was like we all go along fine, no big deal. And then after the final tonight, he has so much respect for Hocker. He was amazed at how he can. Basically, he's been running at such a high level since January and hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. And then Centro, he essentially said his mistake tonight. So he was talking about the video boards. We've talked about how the video boards are in an awkward place in these stadiums. They're sort of at the top left or at the end of the first turn, and then back at the start of the 100-meter start, like behind that. It's not ideal for checking your position. And he said normally they'd be at the front and the back, and I'd be able to see sort of exactly how big my lead was. So he said with about 120 to go, he turned around and he saw he had a gap. And he's like, all right, I'm going to push it. I'm going to go to top gear. And that's what he did. And his plan going in, he was like, I think I probably should have saved something. I wanted to save something that lost 50, but I saw I had a gap and I'm like, time to, basically cut their throats. And he didn't he wasn't able to do that. He went a little too hard too early. So when Hocker caught up to him, Centro didn't have anything left. Hocker had an extra gear. So I thought it was really interesting to hear him talk about that. But the most interesting thing that he said in his interview, I asked him about the Shelby Houlihan situation. Because notably, Matthew, during these championships, he'll usually go off social media for a while. Except to I think he had a couple Instagram updates. But anyway, he doesn't really post a lot. He didn't do media after the first 2 rounds. And so no one had asked him about Shelby. He hadn't posted anything about Shelby. And he essentially said, look, it's no secret. We used to be in a relationship. We went to this food truck together all the time. We would order carne asada burritos together all the time. This could very easily have been me. The night she ordered it, the only reason I wasn't there is because she and her friends went to watch The Bachelor, and I wasn't, he wasn't watching it with them. So he didn't go to the food truck that night. She comes back. They both get tested the next morning. She said that she stayed at her boyfriend's house. It seems pretty clear she was staying over at Centro's. They both got tested. He tests clean. She doesn't. And he's like, it could have easily been me if I'd been in that food truck. They went there all the time, and he just didn't happen to be there that time. So he totally backs her and supports her 100%. He thinks she's clean, and what's happening is a shame.
Yeah, I wanted to interview Jurian Lawson, the long jumper. He was unable to jump today, hurt his hamstring in the prelims. This is a guy that missed 2 years and then was ultimately cleared for tainted food. And I wanted to ask him his feelings about the Shelby Houlihan case, but I never did, because I wanted to ask him how does he feel about a woman that lied or greatly misstated evidence about him in his case. She was actually the main woman involved in the Shelby Houlihan case. She's the head of the Montreal lab. That's the lab that analyzes his sample. What does he think about it? Because I think that he would have some very harsh statements. And I also wanted to talk to Jurian, because life's sometimes not fair. This is the guy that he doesn't graze his hand in the damn sand 5 years ago, he would be the Olympic champion and the long jump. Then he misses 2 years because, well, I guess you could say some people think he's a doper, but I would say they butchered his case. Misses 2 years. I hope ASICS paid him, even though, because he wasn't officially suspended. And then today gets hurt in the prelims and can't even make the team, doesn't even get to jump. So, I think there's so much more to be coming on this Shelby Houlihan story. I think that this could be a seminal moment in the sports anti-doping fight. I mean, we've been saying that for years, but glad you got to ask some of the questions, John. That's an interesting thing. Like, Hocker's not an interesting interview. AJ Wilson's not an interesting interview. There's nothing wrong with it. Some people are introverts. Some people just don't say anything. Centrowitz is always an interesting interview. So I'm glad that you went, to that one.
Yeah, I didn't want to sound like I'm disparaging Cole Hocker. It's perfectly fine if you're a private person or you're just not as expensive. Okay. But yeah,
I want to address this comment from Jack. He said it's good truck. It's easy to blame. God, they had that planned. So do you think that they actually go to the truck every night? I mean, to me, what's amazing, the more I think of the Shelby Houlihan cases, like literally, she tests positive. People are like, how do you come up with a food log? I've talked to people who know this. Like, she doesn't keep a food log. They have to go back and look at the receipts and okay, where did they eat this day? Oh, well, this is the night that we had all the girls over and we watched The Bachelorette and there's text messages. And then they all went they had the food court receipts. And this is one of the reasons why I think she may be innocent, is the fact of she could have said she had pork. What are the odds that the place that they ate the night before the place actually has pig offal on the menu? What percent of restaurants in America offer pig offal? 1 in 1,000? So it is a pretty random chance that this happened. Someone thinks that, what do you think they go there every night in case they get tested? You think they faked the GPS location? No, I think that there's no doubt that she did it. And the other thing that makes me give her the benefit of the doubt here is she could have said she ordered pork. The receipt doesn't say what she ordered. It just says, food truck burrito place. And she was honest about that. So anyways, much more on that. So, she may be guilty, but I personally think she should get off. Why? Because this Christian Ayette woman was not punished for the Jurian Lawson case. You can't make a mistake like that and not be punished, not be suspended. I'm sorry. You got to hold the cops basically to impeccable standards. The same thing with the drug testers. And they need to change the rules or whatever. I don't want to get off into this.
All right, Rob. Yeah, we've gone over this a few times. I think, do we have anything else? I mean, this was an incredible night. I mean, we'll talk about it more on the weekly podcast on Wednesday, but I got a story to start writing here. Do we have anything else, or should we wrap this up?
Well, it was interesting. I'm just looking at the 1,500 results here. I mean, 3:35.28. By the way, Cole Hocker PR'd after going out in 2 flat. It's pretty sick. It's be like the standard. Like, he can run the standard in his sleep. So if he can go out that slow and run 3:35, he easily can run 3:32. I think he could probably run. I mean, Andrew Whitting ran 3:30 in college. This guy's better than Andrew Whitting. Let's be honest. So, shit. I mean, he's in 6'6" shape. But he and Centrowitz are a step above Naguse, Ingles, and then those guys are a step above everybody else. Henry Wynn, Josh Thompson, 3:37, Avila, 3:38. I mean, those are good runs for those guys. They're just not at that level. And then women's 800, you had 5 of the top 6 PRing. Fantastic race. Men's 200, John, I don't know if you were on when I said this. Interesting to note, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th all ran personal best. But they got beat by Noah Lyles because his PR is 1950. And this is a big step for him because who else can run 1974 in this world? Nobody.
Well, Bednarik just ran 1978. I mean, he's
Well,
not
I
that
know.
far off.
I'm saying I don't think there's anybody. I mean, this is
But wait, guys, you guys are kind of getting a little boring here. The big question is, John's night at the Wild Duck was ruined. I mean, the party stuff has really been set back. Should John write articles or just try to go find people partying tonight? I mean, the meet was going to end at 5 o'clock. John will write the recaps. Get to see the party scene in Eugene, but looks like it's not going to happen that night.
It's all right. Well, then, I got in a good night on Monday after the first half of the trials wrapped up. And we went out last night. We saw some people. We got the Let's Run face up there. We got complimented by a few of our listeners. So, I don't think it's I'm okay just working and finishing up my work tonight.
And it was a great night because at the last moment, I go 1, 2, 3 in the 1500 to go from the bottom of the Heps group to first place in the Running Warehouse prediction contest. The Your Move shirt that I made that is now sold out and I can now sell for thousands of dollars on eBay gets on the NBC telecast and whatnot. So we do need to make somehow a new shirt with a new number on.
You bring it.
Anyways, thanks everybody for joining us. Thank you. It's been a lot of fun doing the podcast. It's made it some really late nights. It's 2 o'clock right now. I'm screwed for tomorrow because I have to get up at like 4 hours.
Thank you to William Hague and Bill Hague, podcast listeners, for the ride to the airport.
Now, Weldon, are you going to give them a complimentary subscription to the supporters?
I was. I bought them dinner too, so they get both, right?
I don't know. I've never given out a complimentary subscription. I refuse to give my college roommate one because it's too cheap to pay. So I think maybe not. I was debating giving Dina Castro one because she showed up on the show. Maybe give them like a month free, something like that. But we shall see. Anyways, it's been fun doing it. We'll see everybody on Wednesday on the normal podcast. Jonathan and I now have to go write articles for the next 2 hours. Until next time.